Friday, everybody. So happy to see you, everybody who starts to join in at this time. I have to switch my apron, which was a cool trick prior to them changing the algorithm, because I could do that before you all join me, but now I have to do it after. I say that every day now, at least this week. By next week, they'll probably change it back. So, how are all of you? Beautiful. In Las Vegas, we had a beautiful rainstorm. It leaves a little bit of dirt behind, but it was so nice to feel fall, just come over the mountains and cool everything down and give us a nice shower. So, hey Frank, how are you? So happy to have you here. So today, what we're doing is we are making Moroccan chicken, which I did not post the ingredients. You can find them on nannybubby.com under main dishes. It is a great recipe, and without any further ado, I'm going to begin, although Susie says no show today, bummer, but I think she's looking at a wrong thing. So anyway, let's get started, shall we? So this is Moroccan chicken. One of the things we have to do is to make preserved lemons, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a couple of minutes. But before I do, I want to get this chicken sizzling, and so that skin starts browning. So I'm using this very large skillet here. Let me just show this to you, how it's got a very large floor, and I've got several pieces of this chicken. So I think that this is going to be the best place to start. I'm going to do this somewhat in batches, so let me just trade places here. I definitely need a bigger wide angle lens in order to be able to keep you all in. So the first thing I'm going to do, you know, Tanya reminded me of this, that she loved the Moroccan chicken. I was talking to her last night, and I said, oh my gosh, I was looking for something fabulous to make for all the family that's coming over, and everybody loves Moroccan chicken. You can turn this into Moroccan salmon, use the same thing but use salmon instead. It's just as delicious. The only problem is coming up with the preserved lemons, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this roasted garlic olive oil by the Temecula Olive Oil Company. There we go. And we're just going to swizzle this on. I'm going to grab a little baster and just baste it. The great thing about this is that the oil on the skin of this chicken, when basted on, is going to hold the salt. It's going to hold the Moroccan rub, spice rub. There we go. There's the second one. Just was running out, so I had brought out my second jar as I stocked this stuff up. I just have not made this in the longest time, as you guys will know, but it really is one of my most favorite dishes to make, and it's so delicious. And there's lots of tricks to it, lots of hacks to making it really good. So, including this garlic olive oil, which really gives it a spicy spice without it being a hot spice. So let's just brush this on, and we are going to turn up our heat. Go. We'll put this right here. I run out of space, but we're making it happen. Okay, so we're going to sprinkle with salt, and then we're going to sprinkle with the Moroccan rub. I'm going to start heating up again. Hold your spoon up as high as you can. I love this. Thomas Keller always talks about doing it, and I thought I figured that out myself, which I did before I watched him. But I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a thing. I just thought it was a thing for me. Okay, so now we're going to put in, hey, Yvette Yvette Rucker, sorry. Nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we're going to sprinkle on the Moroccan spice. Again, holding, oh, you can smell the cinnamon and the nutmeg in this. It's absolutely fantastic. Let me scroll up and see who else is here. There we go. Frank, Yvette. There's several else of you here, but it is not showing me. If you're here, type a 1, type a smile, type anything that you can so that I know that you're here, because if you don't, I see numbers like 12 of you are here, but I cannot tell who you are. So if you're here and you're watching, type something to me. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna just layer this on. It is a rub, but I hate to rub onto chicken skin. I just hate doing that. Let me turn this heat up, and I'm gonna use the rest of this on these 2 lonesome little chicken breasts, or chicken thighs. So these are all chicken thighs. The recipe generally calls for a whole chicken cut up, but honestly, I think that chicken thighs, and they cook down very, very far, chicken thighs, and so that's one reason that I make so many, is because sometimes there's not much left after you make it. So let me just open up this other bottle of the Temecula Moroccan chicken spice. So today we are taking the contest to the next level. We've had several entries, which is very exciting. And we're going to be picking our winners today. And I will remind all of you who and how many those are. I think we had 9 entries this week, which is great. So several of you had 2 entries because you posted both a picture and a statement. And I really want to say 2 things to Judy Woods. Number 1, I love that she mentioned that her favorite episode with me was with my granddaughter, who I lovingly call Dollface. And it reminded me that my very favorite cooking segment that I did actually was with my daughter Harmony, which I found to be so inspiring for me because I actually got to interview her, which I've actually really never done, right? Who interviews their own child. But it gave me a chance to just like say to her, so how do you feel about this? Or how did you feel about that? And it gave me insight to, you know, what she was thinking, and also I thought the recipe that she shared with all of us was really ingenious, and I was really proud of her because as a working mom, she doesn't often have the time to, you know, cook or, you know, sometimes, and I can understand because at her age with young children like what she's got, I had really no interest. I had this feeling that I had to torture myself and get dinner on the table. I just dropped something, hold on. That I had to torture myself and get dinner on the table, but I surely didn't enjoy it. So Jordan is here. Hey Lene, you're here, and Jordan is here. So nice to have you guys here. So we're making Moroccan chicken. It is my all-time favorite dish. I love cooking this for all of you. This dish gives me so much confidence. It's something that I learned from the Temecula Olive Oil Company, which, as you know, we're all crazy about. So I'm starting over here. In just a minute, I'm going to turn this around and help you see this. But I really had to create this recipe because I found this Moroccan spice at the Temecula Olive Oil Company, and I started researching a Moroccan chicken and really sort of pulled together about 3 or 4 different recipes to create this one. And I just love it. And it was one of the very first things that I made for all of you. And I love it as a result of that. So I'm making it today in honor of all of you, in honor of our 2nd anniversary. I'm going to also, in this melting butter right now, I'm going to place just a little bit of the roasted garlic olive oil. So we're going to get a nice flavor as well as nice browning. And this is a non-stick pan. And what I find sometimes is that with non-stick pans they get, and Frank is here, yes I know Frank is here, I said hi Frank when you first got here, but non-stick pans sometimes don't brown as well as pans that stick, or cast iron or something like that. So I tend not to want to use them. However, the floor of this pan is very, very large. I can smell that garlic, it smells wonderful. And because of the largeness of the floor, that is why I'm using it, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we are going to have a great sear on this. So it's starting to bubble. Again, I'm using a combination of butter and olive oil, and I'm going to go ahead, as this is searing now, I'm going to take these thighs, and I'm going, you know, I just don't feel like I've got enough on there, so give me 1 minute. This was too full to sprinkle, so I really need a spoon to do it. Okay, now we're cooking, no pun intended. Let's get a little bit more of a coating on these things. I mean, you hate to waste this Moroccan spice with just a little bit of flavor, right? Moroccan food has lots of flavor, lots of taste, so why be careful with your rub? Just go for it. So that's what we're doing here. Going for it in a nice big way there. That looks like it's covered in a much better way. Okay, So if you're ready, we're going to take these thighs. I'll start with these on a small plate so we can get rid of this plate. And we're just going to go ahead. I can hear this sizzle. I'm going to turn this up. Go. See if I bite the plate. Let's see how many of these chicken thighs that we can put in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now once these are in and start to sizzle, I am going to use the olive oil again for the back side of these. Go. And that way we can, okay, looks like I'm not going to be able to get, I'm going to have 3 left over that didn't fit in this pan. So we'll put them aside and I will do them after you're here. We'll just work with these for now. So now that this is turned over, we need to let this sear for about 6 minutes without touching it, which really is torture for me. I always want to lift it up and I always want to check on it, but we are not going to do that because I'm going to show you how to make the preserved lemons that go into this recipe. So let's sprinkle all the backside. A little bit of the garlic. Oh, it's smelling so good. The cinnamon, the nutmeg, the allspice, it's just fantastic. Okay, so, and we're going to do, can you see this? You can. You can all see this. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, and back to the spice. Well, salt first. Wait a minute, what am I thinking? Get the salt on. So of course I always use kosher salt. I know I say that and I've said that so much over the last year that I stopped saying it because I figure by now all of you know. But I use diamond kosher salt, which just has very little salt flavor to it, but a lot. It really brings out the flavor of all foods. You know, some foods like soup can actually taste like dirty water without the proper salt in it. So sometimes using iodized salt, it's too much. So I find that the diamond kosher salt is absolutely the very best way to go. So we're seasoning the back side of these. These are not being moved for at least 6 to 7 minutes so that we can get a nice sear on that skin. Pick it up maybe in just a bit and take a look at it, make sure. Everybody in my household is very excited that we were making Moroccan chicken. So there we go. All right, so let's let that cook, keep me from peeking. The sun just went behind the cloud. If I look like I'm in the shadows right now, that's what just happened. And let me turn you here. There we are. I'm back. Hey, Lisa. How are you? There you go, Susan. Yes, I'm here today. I just wasn't here yesterday because I was on Channel 8. I don't know how many of you saw that segment from yesterday, but Rocky really is not used to using a knife. And I expected her skill set on knives to be just a little bit higher than it was. And there we were live on TV, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am in double trouble here because she didn't even know which end or how to use a knife. And the whole segment that I had planned, I actually had to backtrack on and really change it up because she really had not used knives as, I mean, really a lot, as less than I expected. So anyway, it was really quite something. So you can buy preserved lemons at the Temecula Olive Oil Company. I have not found them anywhere else. If you live in Las Vegas, you can go to Cost Plus. They have a lot of stuff like that if it's a long way from where you live, you can get all the way over there and not find it. You can order it online, but my very favorite way, because of what this recipe calls for, is actually to make it myself. And you can quick make it, and I'm going to show you how. So this is a lemon, if you can see, that I have already juiced. I have 1 cup of lemon juice right here. The really great thing about using the skins of the already juiced lemons is that this particular recipe for this Moroccan chicken calls for you to take all the pulp out of your lemon. in order to put it into the recipe. And the great news is that since we have made this, cut it in half, since we juiced this, what's happened is we've juiced all of the pulp right out. So now what I'm going to do, if you can see, I'm cutting these in little strips, just like this. All the pulp is out. I'm just cutting the little button on the outside of it off. And I'm going to take this and I put this right into this pan right there. So there's about 3 lemons in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 cup of this lemon juice and pour it right over all of these lemons like this. And give it, we can never use too much salt in these situations for preserving. So I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's about a tablespoon and a half right there. That's it. And I'm going to shake this around, stir it around, I guess, basically. Let me do that. And I'm going to put it onto the fire right now, and we'll simmer it. And at the end, we will just take these and pop them right into the recipe, and we will have quick preserved lemons. You won't have to worry about taking the pulp out of them because you already did that when you juiced them. And this is a great hack for preserved lemons. Let me just turn this on over here. Okay. Those will come up to a boil, and we'll let them simmer while we finish up the recipe. So turning now towards our chicken. There we go. One little lemon rush. Throw that in. Turn on the light. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Is it seared? It is. So look at that. Isn't that beautiful? We're going to take and turn all of these. And that's what happens, I'm saying this to myself, and that's what happens, Nanny Bubby, when you are not compelled to keep touching it. So they've got this beautiful, this one is just gorgeous. Look at how nice and brown and beautiful that is. Turn that over. So Moroccan cooking is really, Moroccan recipes are one of my very favorite Middle Eastern dishes. I just love the flavors. I love the use of cinnamon. The cinnamon is always used very frequently. A lot of lemon in Moroccan cooking. A lot of lemon. And I love that. Lots of olives and sun-dried tomatoes. And I want to tell you that these chicken thighs have seared absolutely beautifully. So let's give this a minute. We'll let this cook again for 6 to 7 minutes. There we go. And we're going to continue on with the recipe. So we need some diced shallots. So I've got, well, 1 1/2, 1 1/4, 1 1/8 shallots that are in my refrigerator. Time to use them up. I use these for soup coach. So they're going to be in the fridge for a week. So let's get that started, and let's dice up these shallots. So I'm never going to be Julia Child with a knife, I can tell you that. I used to think something was wrong with me because I could not do this chopping that they do. It scares me to do it, and I'm slow. But I believe that you should use a knife the way in which it makes you most comfortable, and the way that all the great French chefs use their knife is not for anybody. I would have to have lots of practice, and I would have to have the world's best instructor, like Julia Child herself, teach me how to do that. So I always say, and I will say to all of you, and I forgot the dry remove. There's a cup and a half of dry remove that goes into this recipe at the end, so I'll have to walk away and go get that. Back to pull it, I just realized. And of of course, the recipe originally calls for white wine, but honestly, I'm going back to all of my recipes, and I am replacing the word white wine with dry vermouth, because the richness, I know all of you were chatting about that and gathered the other day. There's just nothing like it, honestly. It's just the richness and the flavor that it brings out is really quite good. So there's the diced shallot. It's going to be great. So easy to dice shallots, because nature already slices the first few slices for you. Let's see what we've got. 2 shallots, the preserved lemon. So the pig mixed marinated olives chopped. So I also want to show you this. Let me just move all of this over. So I make a warm marinated olive recipe. This is an Ina garden recipe, and you'll see this in here. So it's got the fresh blood orange olive oil. It's got the rind of oranges, maple oranges in here, lots of thyme and garlic, salt and pepper. And what's great about this, I use this, this was also part of the cookbook recipe, but what this recipe calls for is chopped olives. So I'm going to take these olives that have been marinating for about a week, because everybody didn't eat them all. I'm going to pull them out, and I'm just going to use every last bit of them, including some of the orange rind that they've been marinating with, some of the blood orange olive oil, and the thyme that is in here. Pull all these out. I'm going to give these a nice rough chop, and they're going to be perfect for this recipe. So let's see. Thank you, Susie, so very much. Thank you, everybody. So I wanted to say that I really enjoyed everybody's postings, and it really meant so much to me, because it helped me go back through the last year of when we've been together, and I love reading all of your updates and the things you posted. I love Judy Wood's post about my granddaughter, and I also wanted to say to Judy, if she's here, that I'm so sorry about the loss of your dog. Judy has that same mast cell tumor issue, and so I definitely understand how you felt about that. David Lotion is here. Hey, David. Welcome. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take these particular breasts out. I'm going to turn you around. Okay. These also have a nice brown on the back side. Let's put that in here. And we're going to take the other 3 where there's no room in that pan. I'm going to put those in. Doing these in batches. And this is getting nice and heavy. Now, never fear, we're going to be putting these all back into the pan with the meat and everything else. So these are about halfway cooked. They will go back in the pan at some point here during the recipe making. Also wanted to point out that the preserved lemons are starting to simmer. So, turn that down. And I think I'm going to put that top on it. Allow it to really simmer nicely. So we're making preserved lemons over there. So that's, did I see Brenda Vernon there? I thought I saw Brenda Vernon show up, maybe not. And Maria's here. Hey Maria, nice to see you. So I have been seeing what says Maruka Santa Cruz show up for months. But what I didn't realize is that that's actually Maria Sanchez, who has been working with me for over 25 years, and that's just the way that you say her name in Spanish, Maruka, or that is her name, but Maria is short for Maruka, which I never knew. So all these months, I never knew that it was Maria, but I think that her son Hernan actually finally spoke up one day and typed it for her, because she doesn't speak great. And so he helped her out by saying, "Hi, Marla, it's me and my mom." So that was really cute to see. So, okay, you know how we all have different Facebook names than everything else. So back to the olives. We're going to go ahead and I'm just going to give all of these beautiful olives a rough chop. I just want to tell you these have been sitting in the fresh blood orange olive oil all this time, along with the orange rind, and I just don't see anything wrong with putting the orange rind right into this recipe as well. So while we're waiting, first I'm going to go grab the vermouth, because we don't want to live without 1.5 cups of dry vermouth in this recipe because it will ruin the whole recipe, right? And I don't have my headsets on because Facebook has not been attaching to the AirPods. And so my audios have been really bad lately. So I'm not wearing those anymore. So I can't take you with me. But you guys will just hang in here just a minute while I go do that. So, okay, let me taste these for you. The sound of the seasoning pan is making my mouth water. Mine too. Come over, everybody, for dinner. I wish you could, but you're from all over the country. Okay, there we go. That's nice and brown. There we go. Ah, perfect. Okay, stand by for the vermouth. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'll be right back. No, I'm talking to everybody on Facebook. My son just yelled, "What?" So son and hubby all work upstairs from the house, so we've each got something going on. Okay, all right, so let me say this. You know that one of my big things is even if this is a family recipe that you have cooked a million times, that you have passed down, that you dream about it, you know the ingredients by heart, if you actually don't look at a recipe when you're cooking, just like I did when making challah during Rosh Hashanah, I just completely forgot to put the salt in, and it was horrible. You just accidentally leave out one ingredient, and it changes everything. So that having been said, I'm going to read through this and just make sure that I have not left anything out. So we've flipped the chicken, and we're going to remove it all to a plate right now. So let's do that. I think this one is fine. I'm going to turn it off. And this cooked up much quicker than when I had the full pan. Let me just go ahead and load this up. These will all go back in very nicely. And the time is right. Oh, it smells so good. I can't even begin to tell you. Okay, a little view of the chicken behind me. All right, so back to the recipe. Remove to a plate. Add shallots and sweat them, stirring a cake, sweat them. So how many times in the last year have you heard me say, sweat them? Don't cook them, but sweat them. And I love that. So grab this. I don't even know what this is actually called, but I do use it frequently for things like picking up shallots and getting them into the pan. So let's sweat these shallots. So we're not going to want to brown them. We're just going to want to sweat them. And then we're going to add some things into the pan to stop it from cooking. So I've actually turned the fire off of this. Oh, there we go. Smells wonderful. So sweating them means cooking them until they're transparent. So there's a lot of drippings in this pan, which is one of the problems that I find with a nonstick pan, which this is that the fats and the water that comes out of the food actually doesn't evaporate like most other things. Okay, hey Arlene, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I can hear you, but you're not moving. Okay, I don't know what that means, but we go. I'll bring you a little bit closer. All right, so, okay. Add the lemon. Wait a minute. Remove to a plate. Okay. Straight, soft and translucent. We're there. Add the lemon, olives, and sun-dried tomatoes. So now that these are transparent, we are adding the olives. And I want to share with you the sun-dried tomatoes that I use because I really think you're going to love this. Okay. So these sun-dried tomatoes, somebody snuck into the other bag, so I have two like half bags here, are from Trader Joe's. So let me just sort of give you that label there. They are not in oil, but what I love about these, and you will too, is that they're already diced and sliced. So let me just show you. They are just perfectly sliced. There we go. There we go. You can see they're just, you know, in these great little, like almost, I don't know, chiffonade pieces of sun-dried tomatoes. And they're just perfect. And let me just tell you about the flavor. They're just so wonderful. They're so sweet and salty all at the same time. You can really, honestly, you can taste the sun. They're delicious, and they're great for snacks. Honestly, Russell uses them a lot for snacks. I see that's where the other half of that other bag went. So I'm glad that I got to these before he did. They're almost like, what's the name of that fruit? Like fruit leather or something that you used to buy for the kids, but it's sun-dried tomatoes. It's so good. Yeah. Are you guys hearing me? Roseanne, you're hearing me okay? Okay. It could be Susie. One more. I'm having trouble hearing her last few times. I don't know, guys. Maybe it's me. I'll move you a little bit closer. Okay. There we go. So, I did have to run away from the phone for just a minute to get them removed. So we're starting to make the sauce. And then we're going to put the chicken right back in here. Okay. And we're going to add the lemon. So let's see how these lemons are doing. So these, ladies and gentlemen, are preserved lemons now. Can you see that? Really, let me just tip this phone just a little bit so that you can see inside here. There you go. You see that? And we made these just a few minutes ago. Again, the recipe calls for us to take the pulp out of these lemons, but we already did that when we juiced them. And that's the benefit of making your own rather than buying them, because if you buy preserved lemons under normal circumstances, you would actually have to take them out, cut them, and take the pulp out of them. But instead, we've got just this beautiful. Now these will keep in your refrigerator as long as they're covered in the brine. Once you put them in a jar, as long as there's brine covering them, they can keep for a very long time inside your refrigerator. Speaking of refrigerators, tell me how many of you downloaded the Happy Fridge. I'm hoping you all did get that free download. Okay, back to the recipe. Deglaze the pan with the white wine, scraping the pan to loosen all the brown bits. So there's tons of it, and I believe it's a cup and a half. Hold on. Let's see. It is a cup and a half of white wine. So that dry vermouth, here we come, and here is a fabulous olive that I was actually going to eat, and I'm going to. That olive is beyond. Okay. Here we go. Cup and a half. Look at that. I went looking for dry vermouth today at the market and didn't find it, so I'm using a lot of it, and I'm very happy I am. So turning this up, I'm going to get a sizzle. I'm going to take this dry vermouth, put it in. We're also going to add chicken stock. about 1.5 cups or a cup of chicken stock. Let me see what this says here. And I'll find it. Yep, 1.5 cups of white wine and 1.5 cups of chicken stock. So that's it. Okay, here we go. Heating up. You see it okay? Are you guys hearing me okay? I think because of the sizzle was so loud that it was drowning out my voice. So hopefully you guys are hearing me much better now. Okay. Just look at the richness of those colors. Isn't that something? Just look at that. Look at how beautiful with the lemon and the sun-dried tomatoes and the green and the black olives. A little bit of the orange rind is in here. And the marinated olives that I made. So great to have stuff left over like that you can turn into these better dishes. Ah, thanks, Brenda. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's bring that up to a boil one more time, getting the sauce nice and rich. Deglazing the pan. I'm going to put in 1.5 cups of the chicken stock. Bring it all to a nice simmer, and then I'm going to put the chicken back in. And after I put the chicken back in, we're going to pull for our 3 winners for today. Okay, so I'll read to you who the contestants were. Let me just grab this. We have got Judy Woods in for 2. We have Lucy in Sulaco in for 2. We've got Frank in for 1. We've got Tanya in for 2. And Teresa in for 2. So let's see who the lucky winners are. Let's get this broth up and running here. And I have my little names already cut up into the side. And let me get, you know, I'm going to tell you right now that the vermouth is to die for. Literally smell it. It's so rich and so beautiful. Okay, 1.5. There we go. Well, that just splashed all over everything. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Into the pot. That cools it down. I just popped the chicken broth up and over the tripod. So there we go. All right. So let me turn this up. Okay. Go. Okay, once we get this, we're going to add the chicken and pull for the winners, and let's see who they are right now. So after this, just so you know, we're going to add, just to finish it before we serve it, we're going to add dried oregano, we're going to add the chopped basil, and we're going to add chopped parsley and just sprinkle it all on top. And I don't know if any of you saw my the TV segment yesterday, but I saw this great little cook on Instagram. Actually, Instagram, but it came off of TikTok into her Instagram. And she said on her segment, do not put your parsley, your basil, your cilantro into a salad spinner, which has always like really bothered me because I like to wash it, as you know. And I like to dry it because you cannot chop your green leafy greens like parsley or basil if it's wet at all. If there's any remnant of water on any of these, it just doesn't work. And so she took, I don't know if you saw this, but she took a whole bunch, she rinsed it under the water. I did this yesterday on Channel 8, and she said, do not put this in a salad spinner. She said, just go outside in your backyard after you've washed it, and in order to get the excess water off of it, do this. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have thought about that, especially since we live here in the desert. And so I did it yesterday on Channel 8. And literally then just wrap it in a paper towel. And what happens is it's just dry. It's so beautifully dry. And all these years I've been struggling. You know, I believe in a salad spinner for sure for salad and kale and all that. But these leafy herbs, these green leafy herbs, I mean, it just fails time and time and time again. Okay, let's see what everybody says. Brenda said, such a great teacher. Thank you so much. And Frank said, I've been posting, but they're not being posted on page. Oh, I don't know what that's all about, Frank, but I can only take what's there. So I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, all right, here we go. Okay, let's add the chicken back in. Yum. Won't you guys all come and join me? Okay. So, now the really nice thing about these chickens is that they have shrunk during the cooking process up to now, and they now they're all going to fit in the pan, which is awesome. So I have enough to feed the whole family tonight for dinner when they come. There we go. Now I'm making with this the same roasted vegetables that I made yesterday on Channel 8 because I had so many leftover veggies from the show yesterday that I'm just in a few minutes going to finish prepping them and get those into the oven. This is going to cook for about 35 minutes. Oh, this is just beautiful. And again, I'm going to serve it right in this. Doesn't that look beautiful? Oh my gosh, it does. Thank you, Lene. I'm going to take these excess juices here and just pour them right into the pan and let them cook out. Okay, all right. Let me grab the cover and turn this down low to a simmer. Go. There we go. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much. So let's see. Well, Lene didn't enter, so we know Lene is not going to win, but we do hope Lene enters before the 2 weeks are up. We're celebrating Nanny Bubby's 1-year anniversary, which happens October 22nd. I will have been doing Facebook Live for a year, all because of all of you who join every day and all of you who screen and scroll by after the show and leave comments and thumbs up and likes and all of that. And so I've been doing this for all of you. You've inspired me, and I'm so happy to be doing this. So I read to you who the qualified ones are, and let's see who this is. So first one out of the hat is Tanya. So Tanya, we're pulling 3 every Friday. There's Tanya. And let's see, this is Teresa. All right. And let's see who this is. And Judy Woods. Okay, those are the first 3. Roseanne, if you're there, thank you so much, Arlene. If you're there, Roseanne, will you post? Can you give me a thumbs up if you will post the 3 winners today and gather? Roseanne is great at this stuff. She saves me all the time because I get so lost in what I'm doing. So we've got Judy, Teresa, and Tanya. Judy, Teresa, and Tanya. So each of them get to invite one person to join us. There you go, Lene. Thank you. Thank you so much, Roseanne. So it was Judy Woods, Tanya Murray, and Teresa Anderson. Teresa, our 50th class reunion was canceled. I just wanted to tell you that. I don't know if Teresa's here, but maybe she'll come later. But anyway, so I know, like squirrel, that was kind of out of nowhere, right? But I just found it out that it was canceled, and I was so distraught about it, a little bit bereft about it, because I'm going to Tanya's wedding and committed to that wedding before I found out that's when the reunion was. But you know, you have to go with the first person to ask you to the prom, and I'm so glad that I did, because then the reunion was canceled anyway. So I'm happy to be going to the wedding, and I'm not unhappy that the reunion was postponed for a year because of COVID. So there you go. All right. So each of you, Judy, Tanya, and Teresa, you get to invite one person to join us on a Zoom class, which will probably be maybe a Thanksgiving Zoom sometime in November, early November. We have to wait for Tanya to get back from her honeymoon, so that'll work out really good. I'll post pictures of this fabulous dish today. Remember to go into Gather. You can download the Happy Fridge in Gather. You can download the Happy Spice Cabinet in Gather, or you can go to nannybubby.com. You can get this recipe on nannybubby.com, and you can find under Happy Kitchen, Happy Spice Cabinet, Happy Fridge, Happy Pantry, soon to come. That's it for me, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today. I know I did. Thank you all so much for joining me. Delicious. Cannot wait to eat it. I've been so hungry all week. It just seems like all week all I could do is just like get to dinner. That's all I wanted to do from the minute I woke up, is to get to dinner time so I could eat. I just have been hungry all week. I don't understand it, but maybe it's the time of year. I don't know. Anyway, confessions of a Nanny Bubby. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Ready? Go out and spread love like butter. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.